I was a professional diver for more than 15 years prior to becoming an environmental planner. And my experience traveling in different coastal areas of the country exposed me to the reality of the decline in the marine environment and how local communities are not actively involved in getting benefits out of tourism. And so I started exploring that possibility of changing the way things are being done.
Is there a particular moment or a particular episode in your travels that made you decide, okay, I need to shift from just diving professional, teaching people how to dive, to actually advocating for responsible tourism?
Yeah, we were working with a marine protected area, enhancing the reef. And then I noticed one day that tourists started flocking in. And it was not only divers that were coming in, but also snorkelers, mainstream tourists. But there was no policy or protocols to minimize the impact. And so I started thinking that resorts are focused more on getting economic benefit and selling the place as a tourism destination rather than putting up some mechanisms by which they can protect the integrity of the marine ecosystem. And so the communities are not involved. And I said, it has to be involvement from the local government first and foremost.
When you say responsible tourism, it doesn't necessarily mean dadami yung amount of tourists in the sense that we're going to try and overload this place with more people. Can you explain that a bit?
Yeah, prior to the pandemic, there was like over-tourism in many popular destinations in the world, not just in the Philippines. For example, Barcelona, Venice, all that, no? And people were just clamoring for less tourists. And so we also went through that with Boracay and other destinations like Puerto Galera, Coron, Baguio. And during the pandemic, people were just saying that we can actually do social distancing and having less tourists in destinations. But unfortunately, when destinations started opening up, we went back to the same old way. Because probably 2 years was not enough for us to realize that we need more policies and we need to have a wake-up call to be able to tell us that we need to impose carrying capacity limits in all these destinations.
How damaging was revenge travel after the pandemic?
Actually, I don't believe in that term because it's so negative, It's like you need to do some high-impact activity to make up to those 2 years that you were inside your house. So I think we should have a more positive way of promoting going back with better attitude and better policies and going ahead and investing in planning instead of just promotions, because that's exactly how we are damaging many of our places in the country, and not just natural sites, but also cultural sites.
I want to bring up a blog post you made in 2015. Okay. Very, very long time ago. You listed down misconceptions with regards to travel. Another one that is interesting is that tourism is the solution to poverty. That's a misconception, and that relates a lot to local communities. Why is that not the case?
Okay. If you don't plan for tourism, the tendency is that investors would rake in most of the profit, especially if the local government does not instill mechanisms by which you have safety nets for those who will not be hired by the industry. And there's more of them in the community. So if you take stock of how many people have the capability to be employed or the skill to be employed in resorts and all these investments, in the industry, very few. So what happens is that we have serious economic leakages. These businesses would hire people from other countries, from other municipalities or towns, and leaving out the people living in that place. So if you have a lot of people who are already struggling, and then you put that investment there without thinking of the impact, the consequences of that act, to most of the people living in that place, whose buying power will be minimized to really, really low, you create more poverty because, the money that is coming in is only getting into a small portion of the industry, not providing opportunities to the majority of the community. We have to end that practice of selling attractions, but rather create products that will actually answer or address needs and preferences of specific market segment instead of just inviting everyone and then relying on sheer number to make the industry viable.
Are there any good examples in your experience that you could show us that, okay, this is a good model to follow as of late in this particular time and age?
Back in 2007, I was involved with an island community at the tip of Luzon, 12 hours from Manila. I go there once a month to be with this community, and it had some beautiful natural heritage attractions, but the people are so poor that they were only eating twice a day. So we started with that baseline, so we know we can measure whether the intervention in terms of ecotourism will be beneficial to them financially and well-being. And so after 8 years, these people started having savings and earning much more than they used to earn from fishing and other activities. And they are now able to send their children to school and repair their houses. And they have sense of pride and dignity because they don't have to ask the subsidy from government anymore. And so that project actually gave me an opportunity to experiment on products and tools, methods by which we can capacitate communities, rural communities in different parts of the country, have their own products, have their own way of selling their community without others interpreting their culture, coming from outside. They're able to tell their own story and benefit out of that.